I got asked a very interesting question, but I want to ask the same thing to you. Should Francis Ngannou pursue boxing full time? What do you think? And that doesn't mean that he doesn't honor his deal with the PFL. That doesn't mean that he doesn't do MMA. He was pursuing MMA full time when he went and boxed and got that close. So if he went and pursued boxing full time, it would seem in theory, as a world MMA champion, that he could just go right in to those MMA matches, or specifically maybe sharpen that tool 5 to 7 weeks. 5 to 7 weeks, he works some groundwork in. And, when you're training in these combat sports, you're doing a number of things that are cross-training. You're doing a number of things that you will never see within your sport. You are jumping rope for hours and hours. There will be no jumping and there will be no rope in the actual competition. You're running for hours and hours. There will be no running in that actual competition. Like, there's just a number of things that you will do to up your cardio or your endurance or to stay sharp, to keep you fresh, to give you something as a way of breaking up the monotony. So I'm just suggesting for you, like, instead of doing that hour run 3 times a week, could he substitute that run, of which is never going to happen in there, and just do jiu-jitsu, wrestling? It becomes a wash. Just as much time is still preserved to focus on boxing. I mean, there's a lot of wasted time with speed bags, of which are never in there, with double end bags, of which are never in there, and you're graded or judged criteria-wise. It would seem as though if he put a full focus, he could still do his MMA career. That's just part of the question. And what would happen if he did? I have a very difficult time explaining, because I have a very difficult time understanding why Francis was able, with no experience and nobody believing in him. They'll tell you and they'll write books on how important it is to have confidence in yourself. Confidence is easily the most misunderstood ingredient to athletic performance. The opposite is far more helpful than confidence. Fear. Being on edge. Fear will create an urgency that confidence will take away. And as misunderstood and as unhelpful as confidence is, in comparison to the experts that write the books and the teachers and the coaches that stood over your classroom and convinced you of this, there is something to having a support system that does have that confidence. Letting them know, yes, you can. You are the guy. You're the chosen one. You're different. You're special. You're made for this. There is something like that. He had none. None. And he still went out and did that. It is very difficult to understand how. So what would happen if he put his full focus on that? Because he made comments like that. He made comments like they've unlocked the monster. They better be careful next time. They were getting ready to unleash the beast, right? He made these comments, but it was hard to take him serious, considering he, by choice, sat out for 2 years. It was hard to take him serious, considering at the time he says this, which is an interview in the ring in front of, regardless of how small the viewing audience was, it was still your target market, and he didn't call for a rematch. It was difficult to believe that there was a sincerity when he's like, oh, look out now. If you're impressed this time, just wait till next time. When he's at least 37 years old. But like so many other things where we've tried to question and judge and categorize Francis based on other guys, we're now forced to understand he's not like other guys. His potential is not like other guys. There has always been a reach advantage. There's always been a size advantage. There's always been a youth advantage. There's always been an experience advantage that gets talked about and marketed specifically in sport, and moreover, specifically in boxing more than any other sport. All of those things were against Francis. And one expert, professional, and licensed judge said that Francis just beat Tyson Fury, put his name on it, and made it official. That is stunning. So when we have this monster that isn't like anybody else, it's still difficult to figure out how we got there. I mean, Francis, much like Randy Couture, much like Alex Pereira, and I don't know of anybody else I could put on that list, had a gold belt that says they have an understanding and an ability in the sport of mixed martial arts greater than anybody else has an understanding and skill set of mixed martial arts. That's what that gold belt says. But all of the other guys that have achieved that gold belt have other belts in other disciplines, whether that's a purple belt, brown belt, black belt. Randy, Alex Pereira, Francis Ngannou had no belts at the time that they had a gold belt. They took their no belt, not even a white belt. They took their no belt over black belts and smashed those black belts into pieces. That happened. And you might know other ones that you could add to that list. This is off the top of my head, but I really do find that a very remarkable thing. And then you run into the question, and you must really understand this, why I tell you that confidence is one of the most misunderstood ingredients to success. It is absolute hogwash. Why I tell you that, naiveness is helpful. Not knowing what you don't know, not fearing what you don't know to fear, is a wildly helpful thing to have. You will see people that go out and they overachieve, and then you rematch them, and they get destroyed in the rematch. Well, the one thing that they learned in that first contest that they never revealed and that you weren't able to see, and no announcer understands it to bring that to you, one thing that happened in that first contest is they reached a point that they had never been to before. And the reason, in the first match, in the rematch, the reason it goes sideways is because they came in there with an absolute fear to ever get back to that point. So there is a naiveness that comes with a lack of experience and a lack of understanding. Is that what served Francis so well? Is it? I'm searching here. I'm grasping at straws. But is it? I'm asking questions, not answering them. I've never seen something like this. But it's the second time that I've seen the best ever get their ass kicked by a guy that's never done it. And all the excuses were in place for Floyd. None bigger than, and none more resounding than, Conor was bigger and Floyd was no longer Floyd. We as boxing did not put our best representative forward. And where that becomes a real problem is Tyson Fury was bigger, and Floyd never lost since that night with Conor. Floyd has done a number of fights, and he doesn't train for them, and he doesn't take them serious, and nobody can put a hand on him. It's a really interesting concept. Like the idea that Floyd wasn't Floyd and Floyd wasn't there and that wasn't our guy. The fact that he's never been beaten since shows that that really isn't true. So if Francis Ngannou goes all in on boxing, he spends all his time, he starts sparring with the right guys, he starts bringing the right guys in, he starts really embracing that lifestyle, he will lose the naiveness. He will eventually learn and know what he now doesn't know. Is that going to be helpful or is that going to be harmful? It would seem as though your answer is obvious and actually very simple. If he's going to go and box, yes, Chael, he should fully embrace the training side of boxing. Duh. I know that would be normal. But nothing Francis has done has been normal. It has been exceptional. It has been unique to him. So the obvious answers aren't quite so obvious on anything else within his life. I'm not sure it's obvious within this. I think we learned when he fought Fury, whatever ingredients for training and listening and coachability, whatever ingredients, whether he put that on nutrition or extra sleep, I mean, I'm throwing things up, but whatever ingredients that he had, it appeared that those were the right ingredients. So if we now change that and fully embrace boxing, right, the first thing you're going to get if you go and get a different boxing trainer, the first thing is that trainer is going to go out of his way with one mission, and it is not to make you better. The one mission that a new boxing coach will do, his number one goal, will be to change you. It will be to convince you that you did so well. Now let me show you the right way to do that. And you'll start practicing. You'll start practicing. You'll start doing it different. You'll start doing it different. You used to throw here, but now you're throwing here. And you used to throw nice and tight, and now you're throwing here with your shoulder. And all you do is forget what used to work. You learn this new system, which does not work for you, but now you've forgotten what it is you came in with in the first place. You will lose techniques. But that is the psychology of every new trainer. They must convince you that they have the answers. So they cannot tell you the one thing that they need to tell you. The one thing they need is, hey, man, you got this. You got this. You got to understand you're under control. Let me get over here to the mitts. I'm going to help to motivate you. I'm going to help to drive you. I'm going to show you some of the things that your opponents do. I'm going to show you when and where within your opponent's skill set that you can land these shots that you're used to. They will not do that. They will convince you that they know something different and they see problems with what you're doing, which is their way of dismissing and being condescending to your old coaches who they don't want you to return to, or now they lose a client and they lose business. So I don't know how helpful it is. I don't know if Francis should go all in. I don't know. I don't know that he should. I don't know that he shouldn't. It's a unique one-off athletic experience. It's a unique one-off life experience. I'll be curious what Francis does, but I do have a good reason to believe that whatever he does is going to work out very well for him.